All right. I guess we're going to start. Something cool. We're going to program a Go agent framework in Go, which I have been actually generating using Manus, is how I generated the first version of it. And we're now going to polish it. So what I did is ask Manus a while back, actually, and it's something we've been unpacking last week. In Manus for quite a while ago, let me see, agent. I had it build an LLM agent framework with examples in Go. And I basically prompted like, hey, make me an LLM agent framework in Go with mock LLM and tool calls, because I want Manus to actually run it and give me some examples. And so I said, oh, make like a research agent and make like a planning trip agent and make some code and a coding agent. And so then build it and give me like an output out of all of this, answered a couple of questions, and then let it go. And yeah, it made me like a nice website, right? Which I don't know if it's still, oh, there's the website. It made me like this nice little thing here. Gave me a couple of examples. For example, travel planning agent. And what I wanted was like basically a nice little API. Because my stuff tends to be like a little bit too complicated. And I was also always trying to do it event driven from the start, which I think in hindsight wasn't like the best move. But that means that over all of these years of now programming with LLMs, I've actually never built an agent. I've never built an agent, never had like an agent tutorial, never ran an agent that I kind of built. except like a Python script here and there. And I mean, obviously I should have done this earlier, but also I did a lot of other things. So this is kind of where it got me to. And so on Sunday, I do have something pretty important to do, which is parse like old bank transcripts that I converted to CSV using Amazon TextTract, and then I had it like had different LLMs work on like a clever algorithm to do all of that. Didn't go too far because it's just like too messy of a file format. And so I was over-engineering it, which makes sense for like 3 years ago or so when I started building like similar systems. But now at the end of the day, what I get was a CSV with the lines of this PDF, and I'm not going to show my bank statements on screen. So, but I realized, like, if I feed this into an LLM these days, they're big enough. When I started this project, I was dealing with GPT 3.5 and that kind of stuff, and it was just wasn't practical enough to actually filter like pretty big bank statements through it. But now they just do it, right? So I was like, okay, I do now really need an agent that I can give a CSV for, and then just have it extract the relevant file. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to use this LLM agent framework that it built. And I've been hacking on this weekend. I've been hacking on it today, and I think we're about at a stage where I can start migrating this into my main framework, which is called Geppetto. And I can show you a little bit what the structure of this agent framework is, and then we'll actually kind of start to make it work because I don't remember where I stopped with all of this this morning. So what we have is we have basically the agent abstraction, which comes pretty much straight from the framework as it was built by Manus. I started expanding this to what I have is called a writer agent and a glazed agent, which are ways to, some agents will return like structured data. And so I have like a whole framework to deal with structured data. I don't know if this was a good idea to do this as I was building it this morning. It adds already too much like manual complexity, I think, in there. Manual is my name because I tend to do that. But so we have this basic agent interface, which you can add tools. You can add something that's called a memory. None of these are like currently implemented beyond Box, but the run method, however, is something that I've implemented for a couple of agents. So what Manus did was build me a React agent, because I guess it's like pretty strong in its training corpus. It then has like a standard React prompt. It has like a standard React agent parser response thing, which we're going to look at how we can adapt it, probably not today. And then in the run method, right, it just like runs for max iterations, uses its LLM abstraction to do that, then executes the tool calls that come from this, and then appends that to its messages, right? And the one agent that I've been working on, which is extracting data and then collecting the data until the stream is finished, is the thing that I want to get going tonight. So this is the file collection agent. It has like a pretty big system prompt about how to build all these kinds of files, and then how to extract them. And ultimately, it's able to return them as structured data, as like kind of JSON things. And then it's also able to just like output them to std out. And potentially I'm going to add like a couple of flags to have it output it as like actual files into an output directory. And so, being the over-engineer that I am, I decided to use my YAML framework to kind of basically allow you to write agents like this, where you give it an agent type, a command type, and you can give it like a system prompt if you want to override it. I'm not sure if this is like the best idea either. We'll explore that. And then you have like a template for the first user prompt to put into your agent. So let me grab, I guess I have my tea here because I do need to drink something. And this being after the end of a day where I think today I already like generated 600,000 lines of code or something. It's pretty insane, my days these days. I'm pretty afraid. I've been programming from like 8 a.m. on to now. So we'll see how far we get because my brain's already pretty full. So that said, I don't remember where I left off. So this is what we're going to start with. I think I have a command that's called agent. This command called agent currently has like a YAML that it's loading straight into and exposing as an agent. And let me see what I can do. Also, it's like hot here. All right. So what might be the best way to start? The best way to start, we can either hard code our file extraction thing and then render it, or we could actually start loading YAML files here. So I'm actually going to start loading YAML files straight into our agent command. I do have a bunch of abstractions to do that. Actually, I wonder if I should stay in here because I'm in my Vibes repo, which has like a ton of stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open this as the folder itself, right? So I think if I do open containing folder, does that do it? No, that's not what I wanted. So we're going to do open folder, and then we're going to go, open folder, going to go into the Vibes folder, then we're going to go into where this LLM framework is actually defined, which is under LLM agent complete down here. And we go into LLM agent framework and we're going to open this. So I'm not going to save this framework. I am, however, going to add a couple of workspaces, additional folders to this workspace because they do have documents that are relevant for prompting that I need, since I'm going to use so many of my external frameworks to run all of this. So I'm going to load the folders of these other frameworks into the workspace here, and then I can refer to their files. This is like a little bit annoying with Cursor, right? Because I have a lot of like context documentation that is not on the web, so I can't add it as docs. And here's like, maybe there's going to be a better method one day, or I'll just use like MCPs. I don't know. But we're going to add folders to the workspace, and what we're going to add is the Pinocchio, the Geppetto, the Glazed, and the Clay repos. I think that should do it. So Pinocchio is my LLM graphical UI, or like terminal UI kind of tool. Geppetto is the framework that runs LLM stuff and embeddings and all of that in the background. Then Glazed is the core framework that exposes commands. And then Clay is something that has utilities like showing how to deal with repositories. And so repositories is where I can stuff YAML files and then I will expose these YAML files. So one thing we could start doing, and I wonder how far we will get doing this, is this is where it gets tricky, huh? Because I do want to reuse all of my Pinocchio settings. So like everything that's like profiles for which LLM to use with which authentication, and all of these like niceties that I get from using a framework in the first place. The way, however, this is done is by using by setting the app name to a certain application name, so it knows where to look for its config file and all of these things. And now that I'm starting to add repositories, this is going to be interesting in how to deal with those things. And I'm just going to take notes of stuff that's going to be annoying to do. So just to show you what I'm actually thinking about is like if I go into this agent framework and I run, say, my command agent, which is the thing that currently loads a YAML with the weather tool and with the weather agent and then exposes that, then, oh, it also has like a code assistant, which is interesting. So when I run the weather tool, I will have a ton of, so I will have like a couple of flags that are described in the YAML for the weather tool. So let me see, where is the weather, create the weather command, right? And it has like a location parameter. It has a detailed parameter over here. But also what it has is a ton of additional parameters to configure the LLM settings. So if I do long help on the agent here, you can see it has like all of these flags for the API type, for the API keys, for Claude, for OpenAI, you can cache the embeddings. There's like just like a ton of parameters, and those get automatically loaded from the config files for the Pinocchio tool, right? So if I look at Pinocchio's profiles, for example, I'll see that I have all of these, and then that's nice to show on stream. I can reuse these for the agent itself. So let me quickly go delete this key that I just showed. And yeah, this is happens regularly. One day I'll build in like credential display into that framework because I keep doing this nonsense over and over. So let me revoke my keys. Always fun. There we go. I'll have to update them so we even can make this stuff work. And after that we'll be good. So get API keys, and my key starts with OCB, which is not even here. So let me look for where this key even is defined. Well, good start. I guess I'm tired, huh? Where is that key even defined? Jesus. I guess it might have been revoked, actually. Both of them might have gotten revoked already, which is good. So let me just see if they gotten revoked. I'm going to use the Pinocchio profile of the thing that I just had on screen, Claude Mento, and then I'm just going to do a hello on my Pinocchio, which you can't see, but that's too bad. Invalid key. Okay, well, so that's good. And then I'm going to do the same with the other keys that I showed, which were OpenAI RAG. This one has also been revoked. And then the last one has also been revoked, right? So let me just see. If that is fully true, and then I guess we're safe again. All right, so all three keys that I showed on stream were actually revoked, so that's good. I'll teach me not to do that. All right, well, we're back. So in any case, all of these little flags here are being loaded from the config that is filed under Pinocchio. So that means every kind of Pinocchio underscore variable is going to affect the agent as well. And I think if I say do Pinocchio agent weather Berlin, let me actually just see, hopefully that this doesn't show even further keys. All right, yeah, so that seems to work. I'll have to be like a little bit more careful with all of that stuff. If I run it, then I can kind of switch profiles here. And I don't know if I have one with Foro Mini, and then it's going to run it with Foro Mini, and the previous one ran it with Sonnet. See, Foro Mini, even if I gave it tool calls, it's still going to be like hallucinating stuff. So without tool calls, the other one is going to be telling me XYZ. So these flags are all loaded through what's called middlewares. So it's being built with these things called Geppetto middlewares here, which then has a command that's going to show you how to load all of these things. So from like the profile file, and then also from the config file, which is gather flags from Viper, and then gather flags from Viper. Here the question is, can I load these flags from Viper using a specific config file name? And, will it like load? Can I say like, what do I even want to do actually? I want to parse a config file for the agent, but I do want to load most of the settings from Pinocchio. I think it's going to confuse me too much for tonight. So what I'm going to do is just load these YAML files from a fixed repository, because we do have the functionality to load these YAML files from a command, from a directory. And if I look at what is in Clay, I don't know if, yeah, so we have a file about repositories here that tells us how to use repositories interface. And then we do have a bunch of custom repositories, new repository with files. So I'm going to just add this in here. I'm going to say like support loading commands from repositories using Clay C01 repositories, and hard code the repository location, because hard coding, why not? For now we'll do, and then tomorrow I'll spend, like, when my brain is fresh, I'll spend a little bit more time about where those should go. And I think those are now in, do we have, so where are our YAML files in here? We do have YAML files in Go Agent examples. So that is good. So if we go into Go Agent examples commands, this is the hard-coded path that I want. So add them to main.go. And then maybe we'll have inspiration coming from another program that I already wrote, say like Pinocchio, which is going to load all of its stuff from these repositories over here. Look at Pinocchio main.go to see how it can be done. And I guess that might as well work. I don't know if I want Sonnet. I'm going to go to Gemini for now. See how annoying it is tonight. And hopefully this will allow me to just modify YAML files pretty easily without having, and then just testing how well does your YAML loading work without having to modify like YAML inside a Go file, and also quickly allow me to add new agents as YAML files as we go. So we'll see how all of this works. So I'm not sure what it all is messing about here. It might be like a lot of the repo path is maybe wrong. So I might actually spend some time moving the Go agent framework into a proper repo. So it looks like my agent loader currently doesn't fully implement a certain interface. I'm also wondering how many of these issues here are just like path things. And it looks like we might be blowing up we might be blowing the context window already just because we're iterating on like lints that don't make sense. So maybe this is a time to step back a tiny little bit and see what the issues are. So it adds the necessary imports to find a repo path. So we might as well go see what has changed in main. Did I already accept all of this? Yeah, all right. So it loads the agents from YAML, from the YAML content, and then it iterates over those. That's not what we want. I do want to apply this, right? Reapply. And has the repo path, and then it does the new agent command loader, which it wasn't able to import. But that's still fine. Then it fixes that to be an improvement. I don't know. Reapply. I'm going to turn off the autofix of linting, to be honest, just to not blast through stuff too fast. So that seems to have fixed one of the errors. And then the loader is not and I can't even see the end of the lint. Like, man, VS Code is so annoying. Because the command loader here, it does need to have a loader, command loader. And so to implement this, we can, now that it has seen all this context for the tab completion, it's actually able to give us like a little bit more information on what needs to be implemented. And we might do this in a fresh context just because this is starting to get pretty full, and also just like not really useful information in there because it was basically doing a lot of garbage. The other thing with the loaders is I'm not sure if we do have something about loaders in here in the documentation, because that could be pretty useful for us to refer to. So the loaders are, let's see if we have a loader.md or something. Using loading, using multi-loaders. So that's interesting, but it's not exactly what we want. The other thing that we might want to look at is command loader in files to include .md. And we might see if we do have user store command, template commands, use the command loader to load commands from the YAML file. Commands tutorial. Yeah, none of this is really good. This is like when I was creating documentation by hand. And I think now I have like a much better way of doing this. So I'll show you that because that's actually pretty cool. And this is something that I also wanted to tackle. So if we go to user store command, for example, I don't even know what this is. This is an application. I'm going to leave that by now. Doc topics command loader. So this is also not a good starting point, but then using commands, use the command loader to load commands from the YAML file. So this is something that I want to update. So update 15 using commands to be up to date. Use, and I know that there's a tutorial that's like much more up to date here as a reference, but make sure to load all the relevant files and add mentions of package names and files and proper symbols to allow a new developer new to the project to properly work with commands be exhaustive. And I'm gonna play with this. Like this is a new concept that I'm playing with, is like using agents, using the new agent capabilities in Cursor to kind of like at some point just do a batch update of all my documentation that has kind of been like neglected over time. And I've during last week where I was on vacation, I started like playing with a lot of what do you call it? A lot of concepts around how do we manage these like context documentation files as we create them, as we update our code. So we're going to see what this does. I do want it to like navigate the code base and make sure to navigate the code base and read all the relevant code. For example, commands in glazed, right? Like this is one, and loaders, and etc. So we'll see how this goes. I hope that it like spends a lot of time loading files into the context. And there's something that smells like food. I think that might be my neighbors, but I'm just going to go check to make sure I'm not burning something. Well, time to open the window. This is kind of weird that it always tries to like load the wrong directory. It's because it is not able to work with multiple workspaces. Like some days it works, some days it doesn't. So this is because I have so many repos in my multi-repo now, because I've been writing so much code that like opening it in Cursor just makes it explode. So I load individual folders, but that's not like the best way to start. The glazed repo is in, and so hopefully giving it the absolute path will like kind of help. This is on Cursor, right? Like they seem to be using relative paths, which I just don't understand, because every model just like kind of nukes itself with relative path. I'm not sure. It's honestly also the biggest issue with like say scout.new is just like it doesn't know how to put files in the right place. So it will keep writing a new file in the wrong location, then be like confused because it doesn't work, and then all these kinds of things. It's just like hard. So anyway, this is exactly what I wanted to do, right? It's just like go through all of this stuff and like look it up, and then do a significant update of this 15 using commands, and basically do me reports. And I've been playing with this today. I've actually had like Manus generate me like a 250 pages document about a topic that I was interested in by getting better at prompting this kind of research. And so I think once I have like a couple of tools to pretty quickly identify which documentation is relevant to what, then I can build an agent that is able to pretty well steer one of the more generic agents like Manus or so, to look at the right stuff. Because I don't want to build like my own agents from scratch entirely, at least not right now. I don't want to build like edit file tools, all of this stuff. Because the Manus stuff just works pretty well, and I'm happy with it, and I kind of know how to steer it. So let's see what it does here. It does like a lot of code, which I don't like all that much. So what we're gonna do is, so this is pretty good, right? Like I do want to have the packages linked to the commands, and then create a Go struct for your command. And so I'm going to say like, okay, make it more didactic and written out, and incorporate like the high level picture and architecture, and make it read nicely. I'm still like struggling with these prompts. you'll see me every time on screen. I'm on stream. I make up a new one. I'll have to work at that, and I might switch to Sonnet at this point. We'll see what the difference is if I switch to Sonnet. And why does it say that like 81 files? Oh no, it's just like one file. Okay, good. See, because this is a lot of code all at once, so I don't think this is all too important, because I could just like link to an actual example Go file that I have somewhere, right? That would like achieve the main goal. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll also ask it to do what's the difference between my other. What did I type? With my other tutorial, which is the one that I always refer to, and which we might need to move into the main package also. Yeah, I do make meta prompts, and so just to show you, Beardhack is asking, like, do you ever do a quick meta prompt? So I in a way, what I'm doing right now is like making a meta prompt, right? It's like, oh, look at all this mess, and here, can you just make it better? I also did already like make a meta prompt of like, tell me how to write good documents, and I have this like how to write better how-tos. I have this somewhere. The thing that bugs me is that I put those into somewhere into a repo somewhere, and then I don't have this repo loaded, and I can't find that document again. So there really is like something where I think having an MCP is probably the best thing to do. And like when it calls this MCP with a certain topic that it's looking for, not just have it like automatically find something, but also maybe pop up something where I can give it the context and like search across my context repositories. Like I'm playing with these ideas. I'm not fully sure what this would all be best for. So this seems to make it more step by step. Like, no, it doesn't, right? It's just like it writes even more. So I'm starting to worry that this is the context window being too full. I'm going to rewind. This doesn't make sense here. So I'm going to rewind it here. Where was it? Oh, this was the first still. I was wondering. Oh, it failed. Okay. Make it more didactic and written out, and more step by step, and not just complete code blocks because we care more. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to switch to Sonnet and just see what happens. And Sonnet thinking, why not? But yeah, this is I'm still working on this whole like documentation management. I've gotten myself much better at like prompting stuff now by creating these intermediate documents, and some of them have gotten really good, and I keep updating them. But it's something that's very much on my list, and I think having an agent framework as well is going to be really beneficial. All right, well, this is like kind of boring, isn't it? So this still needs to implement the loader method. So I'm going to say like, make this loader implement the proper command loader interface from loaders. So I'm not going to wait on the documentation. I'm actually going to do the work. And what I can do after I have the documentation, I can use this chat here. So let me add myself back to the stream. I'm going to be able to use this chat here to then further update the documentation, because here it's actually putting in some work, right? Like it's actually doing command loader related stuff. So once I have a tutorial that explains how to use command loader, and this has been using command loader, I can say like, oh, can you cross check the documentation and make sure it's like correct? And so I can say like, look at, and then we're going to give it like another loader here as well. We're going to give it like the Pinocchio loader to see if there are things you could improve. So all of this is also building up context to then later on like add to this documentation, or maybe use this improved documentation to then create a new documentation about the other one. And Cursor is like really confused by big diffs. Like I don't know what's going on right now. I'm just like hanging. So here it's implementing the command, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to make some more improvements, which is more idiomatic. Re-implemented the load commands to use load command or alias from reader, which properly handles both commands and aliases. Updated the load agent command from reader to match that, blah, blah, blah. Added proper source tracking by including the file source. Set a type agent for the command, which helps with multi-loader support. Yeah, so those are all little things that were actually pretty important to do. And we can see that there's like another thing that's not defined. This might be because it hasn't loaded the proper file in here, right? So I'm going to tell it like with commands with parent doesn't exist, look at commands. So here I'm actually chatting with the model, which I usually don't do all that much. But here I know that this discussion is actually going to be what leads me to, I'm actually going to have the model fix that. This is what's going to lead me to update documentation. So I'm fine chatting with it because I'm actually engineering a better document as we're going to go. So I think this is going to be, yeah, so with parents, look at commands.go to end the Pinocchio loader to see how to handle it. I'm not sure what this is all about, actually. Why does it have like a parent? There's a with parents function that takes string arguments. I'm not sure what this is all about, actually. I'm gonna look at the Pinocchio loader. So a lot of the abstractions that I built are just like overly complex. They kind of stem like from the past. So I'm not fully sure why it decided to do this whole thing. With flags, command description options, command, new Pinocchio command. Yeah, is it? I'm not sure that this is all correct here. We're going to see. Yeah, I think this might, maybe the Pinocchio loader itself is also wrong. So we're gonna switch to Gemini 2.5 Pro Max at this point. Look at, and we're gonna load the excuse me loader, which I just loaded, which I guess is not in here. So we're gonna add it to the folder as well. So look at excuse me loader. Oh my god, why? I don't know why Cursor is not able to find files. Like, it's still not able to find the file that I actually have open here. I do need to put the name in and then kind of like look for it over here, and I kind of hope that I find it. Even though I say loader.go and it's open, there it is. To see if this is actually better, to see if this is all correct. I am not sure the Pinocchio loader is all that great. We'll see. Because I have so many loaders implemented, and it was like something that from the start was like a little bit wonky engineered. It's like 3 years old, and I never really revisited all of this, or like I revisited it too often, and every time I kind of made more of a mess. it's pretty good to have it like being analyzed. Oh yeah, so the excuse me was maybe not the best way to look at it. Let me undo the excuse me thing. And I'm gonna, because it is able to load like directories as commands, which is not something that I want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this from the workspace and I'm gonna add another project of mine, which has a better loader for SQL commands. And instead of looking at excuse me loader, here I'm going to look at the skeleton loader. And same issue, it's like not able to find it. Oh, I hate this. There it is. And we'll see. So, but this is great, right? Like this is a pretty complex discussion, which doesn't go all that well, which means that there's a lot of reasoning about why this and why that and why it's not good. And this is actually a good context to then update a document or create a document from scratch, right? Yeah, so the skeleton loader should explicitly add the source file implementation like the other loaders does. No, I don't want to change the... No. Look at loaders to see if this is... to see if the Go agent implementation could be better or is missing something regarding parents especially. Is this... only modify the Go agent one. And so the reasoning trace here is then, I'm not going to read it on screen, but I kind of really should spend some time and re-architecting all of this. And I've got pretty good success now doing this for a couple of other things where I will take all these like pretty messy interfaces that I've built over time that I myself don't really understand anymore because I had like all of these different edge cases. And then I'll load all of those into O3 and I say like, oh yeah, can you please analyze this? And actually I'll show you what that does. Let's remove the load file fs from the Go agent. This looks like an agent command that's duplicated. It appears redundant. All right, so that's cool. See, this is stuff that I would have maybe been able to figure out if it's clean. But so just to show you how I would approach first seeing what our command is. Oh, so it wrote 800 lines and it removed 500. This is pretty cool. So I knew Sonnet would probably be a little bit nicer. And because it's so grounded in all the documents that it read up here, right? I'm pretty sure this is going to be a pretty nice document and then don't necessarily need to read it all because I am going to leverage the fact that I'm going to use this multiple times in the future to make sure it actually fits, right? And this has a lot of features that were added. Concrete example, this is also pretty nice. And what I'm going to do now that this document is pretty nice, is like write a document 22 command using, command loaders.md next to 15 using commands.md, right? Which is this document that we created that in a similar way details what loaders are for, a few examples, how to create them, the bigger picture, etc. Also refer to variable names, to refer to package, also mention package names explicitly. Because the package names are important, it's like one of the most important sources of like just linting hell, is like if the package name is wrong or it imports the wrong one, then the model won't figure it out and will just like endlessly repeat itself. So that's something that's really important to get right, to tell the model in these documents where to where to find things. And so now that we have all this messy context, right, of like fixing the loader, and we also have like a really nice document that we've been created that's has a nice structure, then we can create a new command here that we can then in the future use to refer to every time we need to do a loader. And I'll validate those. Like the next time I use this to create a loader and the loader doesn't work, then I'll update this document to say like, yeah, you did something that didn't work, like your document's wrong. And those are really the artifacts that I'm programming today, right? Like I am going to create code today, but really my main output as an engineer is this. And so this was created all in the Glazed framework. So I'm going to, what is this? Oh, it's all these stupid readmes. So let me just add this one. Wait. Git stat. Oh, okay. Add this document. Add. And I think that's all of it. So I'm going to create a branch, task, add, command, loaders, docs, books, add, documentation for loaders and commands. And then I don't know what to do with this. All right, goodbye. It's stashed. Maybe I'll need it one day, maybe not. So we do now have a proper loader, and we can kind of close our little expedition here, creating better documents, because I can go back to my agent main function, right? And we were loading repositories here from over there with the right loader, and so all of this is kind of is probably going to be working quite well. Loader, new repositories, and then the other thing is that in all of these commands that we created and in the loader, so in the agent command loader, it's going to check if the type with type agent yeah, I'm going to make this a const command agent loader command and name. Yeah, and I'm going to call it agent, and then this is where it appears. I'm going to do this. And the multi-repo, the multi-loader, I don't remember. Yeah, this is how it works, so that's cool. I can basically load different types of commands now from the same repository. And what I'm going to do to make this go straight already is that I'm going to go here, and then I'm just going to go type agent. I'm going to go type agent. I'm going to type agent. And this command type, agent type, I'm going to clean that mess up tomorrow. Like I won't do this on stream. This is already confusing enough. Yeah, so I don't expect you to understand any of this because it is really like a nitty-gritty of my framework to that doesn't have good documentation that I could point at, so that's like a little bit problematic, as you've seen. But however, this workflow of like doing some pretty complicated work, loading all context, and then creating some pretty good documents, that definitely I've been like working. This has been getting better and better for how I work. And when these documents are good and you are able to find the one relevant to your task, then things are kind of almost on rails, right? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the other commands from the YAML in here and like completely just load the ones from the repository. So for all of those from the repository, I'm going to load them, collect the commands, and then I'm going to expose them to Cobra. And so this was nice, but we don't need it right now. We can basically register any kind of command as an agent. So we're going to remove the weather agent as well. And this leaves us with a pretty minimal-ish way of loading things from a repository. And let's just see if that actually works. So a repository is a directory like this. And it allows me to write YAML files that are then immediately, without recompiling a binary, allow me to like tweak different agents, right? So if I do run command agents, I should see all of these commands appear, except it doesn't. All right, error loading commands, invalid argument path, all of that. So that's interesting. What does that mean? Open dot invalid command, invalid argument. That is interesting. I don't even know what that means. Error loading commands from repository. So I'm going to look at that. Error loading commands. Error loading commands from repository. Oh, the repo path is empty? No, the path is here. So we don't know what the error was, except that it was an error in here. So we're going to set a breakpoint, and I think in terms of my launch things over here, we do have... Oh, we don't have any... Let me see. So if I go to VS Code, launch JSON. Yeah, I can do this. Copy VS Code here. Then look at my launch JSON. And here I'm just going to delete. So it's 3. No, what the fuck? All right, so let's see. Let's run agent weather for Berlin. That's the thing that I want to launch. And we'll see why our repository loading doesn't work. And that will give us an opportunity to maybe update the documentation as well. Since something went wrong, it means something in our documentation was maybe not perfect. So we're going to go through the repositories. Our source is going to be file, directory source prefix. The directory name is not full. Then where does file agent even come from? Why is this repository, what kind of directories does it have? It has the name file agents, root directory. Okay. That's interesting. Why does it have the root directory has the name file agents, source prefix dot osdirfs. So this is the other thing is I want to be able to load like I want to be able to load things from that are embedded in the binary. What I don't understand is why this dirfs now, which has the repo path here, that is this value maybe not correct because it's not able to find any files in there. Did I make a typo somewhere? No, it does find them, right? So it must be an issue with... Yeah, this is weird that the file system here is... Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. So file system operating. Okay. So the base of my loading is going to go through all the options, and then we're going to go into load commands from file system, which is in the generic loaders. We're going to go through the entries of this file system. There's 6 of them, right? And they're all these individual files. So there's the README, and then this is going to be the first YAML. So this is good. And then if the string, we skip hidden files, we get the file name. File name is a README. Is the file supported? No, it's not. Now we have a YAML file. So let me close all of this. We have a YAML file, code exploration agent. We're going to go into the check, is the loader file supported, which is our agent command loader. And it looks and it says like, oh yeah, it's a YAML file, it's supported. We're going to get the parents from this directory. So wait, what is it doing in here? So I'm going to set a breakpoint here as well. The parents from the directory are dot, that's fine. We're going to load the command from the file, right? Which is going to be loader load commands, which works. So this returned us one command, which is an agent command. So far so good. We have a writer command for the code exploration agent. So that seems to work. So the error is something else. Because this also works. And we're going to exit. So we have now our commands, right? We have no errors. We have found 5 commands, which is fine. Going to go through each command. And is it a command? Yes. Going to append it. And for each command, we've now processed them. We check if the root doc directory exists. It doesn't exist. Oh, so this is the root doc directory that it's failing to find. If the doc directory doesn't exist, then just continue. And here our error is path error open invalid argument because our directory root doc directory is empty. So if it's empty, we're just going to skip it. Wait. What is it? Maybe we should just like skip if directory root doc directory is empty. All right. So that was the error. Oh yeah, so this is better than what I had before. All right, let's start it. Let's try again. I think that was the error, passing in an empty root dot directory, which I think is pretty a good thing to do anyway. And unknown command weather. So now we'll be able to see how many commands we have. Now that it loaded them, we do have chat assistant, code exploration, help, research, travel planning, right? Which is pretty cool. We don't have the weather one anymore, so we're gonna go into a launch JSON. I deleted it. Actually, what I might want to do now that we have so after all this conversation that we had right now, actually, let me do this thing where I update the directories. So implementing the command loaders interface, we already did that. And I guess I did that in line, the fix. So I'll do that with the diff later. What are we doing right now? I want to create a weather agent, right? The weather agent that I deleted, which I maybe have in my diff over here. The weather agent that I deleted this guy here and the code assistant agent and the file generator agent. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this because I'm lazy and I don't want to copy paste. And then I'm going to take a screenshot of this guy. And you will see what I'm going to do. So now I can start a new chat and I say like create YAML commands for weather, file extraction, and I think code exploration we already have in examples like travel planning, agent YAML, etc. C command.go. Actually, is it command.go for the agent? It's command.go. For based on the attached screenshots. And so now I'm just going to paste the screenshots. Are those? Yeah, the right ones. And I'm just going to use... Oh my God. And so this is a way, we don't have documentation on how to create these YAML files just yet, but we're going to use this context window to create it. Actually, we might have a documentation to do that. Yeah, we do. So now we're going to do check if things match with 01 agent YAML command and update the document or the YAML if needed. And so if we have a thinking model that sometimes struggles, and it's going to check the consistency with the documentation, and we're going to see if like one or the other needs help. Yeah, no, so the command type of file collection is wrong. Yeah. So now it updated it and it said agent type file collection, command type glaze. So this is perfect. And I think in the agent YAML command, I think one thing we need to add here is just the type agent. And should always be agent. Gonna add that in here. No, I guess we don't need it. Complete examples, type agent, and then that's it. All right, cool. Which means that if we now run our little command agent again, we should have the file generator and we should have the weather tool again, right? So this is the reason to have these repos is by just creating 2 YAML files I can add and tweak my different agents and also give them like different flags that I can configure. And what I want with my file generator is I wanted to give it a file and basically say, oh, extract like JSON documents out of it, for example, but do that on the command line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to commit the feature is like load YAML commands from hard-coded repo, because I'll figure out how to do this cleanly tomorrow. Now that we are able to load our file collection agent, for example, right, which is in here, the file generator agent is the system prompt. We're going to look at what to do with it, because I want the agent itself to add more to it. And so we're going to now work on this generator agent YAML, and it's like add context to be able to attach files to the agent C. And so here I'm going to link another command that I have, which is a Pinocchio command, which works the same way. It's also just YAML. And this professional command has a way of providing context files to its prompt, right? And so this way, I want to use the same structure in YAML, because I've been using it quite a bit to attach files through context. And this is what we're going to, now that I have these YAML files, I can pretty easily manipulate them without even writing any code or recompiling anything. Except this thing is like freaking go. Please do it. Right, so it's going to do this little thing here. And I'm going to also do, so what's the other flags that I could use here? I like the brackets should be true. Add bracket as well. Yeah, I think that's enough. I'll use the bracket flag. And so here I can pretty easily just like manipulate the prompting and add new flags and do all kinds of stuff, which is really useful. No specific tools. All right, so that's cool. This agent doesn't have any tools. And then we generate the same stuff here. If bracket template context. No. How does the professional thing work? It removed the description. So where is the description? Because this is kind of the same. Define context as query. So why does it bracket the whole thing with the context? This is wrong, actually, I think. No, it is not. No, it's not. So we define the context to be for our file generator agent. The context is generate the files described here, and then the additional context, however, is if context range. All right, we have this. I think that's it. And then bracket default true. All right. So what this means is we're going to attach a file to all of this. We're going to attach, say, the README. If we go back to launch JSON, we're going to run the run file collection. Oh, I'm going to leave the agent, and I'm going to say add an entry for running file collection context go agent examples commands readme. Extract each topic as a separate JSON file. Yeah, but it's replacing it. No, as a separate entry. I don't know. This Control K, I'm never too happy with the results. But so it's going to run file collection with the context flag here. and extract each topic, and then we're going to see how far we get with this thing, with this run. Because now we're getting into territory where I haven't run the agents after all these modifications that I did. So where is run file collection? Is it called file collection actually? Go run. It's called file generator. All right. So we're gonna put a breakpoint in golang go command new agent command. So that's already all done. We're gonna put it into prepare agent and then run into Glaze processor and then run into writer just to see which one of those it hits, and render initial prompt. Why not? So let's see how far we get. So it's loading the commands. We got that far. It's running the whole thing into the writer, which is cool. It's going to go into prepare agent. It's going to get the agent settings from the parsed layers. And so the agent settings, we have agent type React. That's wrong. We have max iterations. So if the agent type is different than this, so now the agent type should be set to file collection, so that's good. This is something we should remove. So I'm going to add this to... Actually, maybe not. That way we can override the agent type. It's creating the step settings, which is what is being used for the LLM. It's creating the LLM abstraction. It's preparing the tools. It's preparing the options. So what are the options here? It's a max iteration 10. System prompt. You are an AI assistant that generates complete ready-to-use code files based on user requests. Interesting. This is what's in the... This is what's in here, right? Then we're getting the CLI options. We're merging that into the other options. We're getting the agent constructor. All right, because it has been registered. Now we're going to call the constructor register agent type. And so this is how we construct the file collection agent, right? All right. Because here it has like a whole system prompt. I think this should be like the first user prompt. So we're maybe going to rename this as we go. We create a new file collection agent, which has a new file extractor, and so that's all good. Now that we created the agent, it doesn't have any memory setting, it doesn't have any tools, so we're ready to rumble. We render our initial prompt. Rendering the initial prompt is, in this case, we do get, we do have a prompt, right? So we loaded the prompt from the YAML. We get all our parameters from the map, and I'm not sure if this is how it should best go. I mean, we'll see. Render the initial prompt, because this is where we could potentially add more. I'm going to make a list of to-dos that we could have here, or like ideas. So I'm going to create a new folder for today's date. And I'm going to call this ideas.md. So the first idea is, oh, this is the folder. I'm stupid. Delete. I'm going to create a file. New file, 01 ideas.md. So one is rendering the prompt should be done in the agent, not the command, or at least give the agent a way to add their own variables to render the prompt. The other thing is, what about that system prompt? Do we even need it in the YAML? Maybe. And so it's not able to render, failed to parse the prompt template. Okay, so that's interesting. That is maybe our first bug. So if I swap here, render initial prompt, agent command. And here we have WAC, writer agent command, agent command, agent command. Man, the debugger is so bad. So there's an error parsing the template here, which could well make sense because I hacked it in. So let's see. LLM generator agent. So define context, so that's good. Template context. If context, range context is here. The if context matches the other one. So why is this failing to potentially parse? Am I missing something here? Is there like a syntax error? I don't know. This doesn't look too bad to me. Failed to render initial prompt because it failed to load the template. Was this where it parsed wrongly? We're gonna restart. So this worked. Prepare agent worked. And then parsing the template on a prompt, which looked pretty decent. So the problem here is always that you can't like copy paste out of this debugger. It drives me wild. Copy value. And then if I look at the value, it's like this. It has like all these escaped stuff, which I don't know, man. So why is it failing to parse? Does it tell us anything about the failure? Template function join not defined. Okay, I see. So the reason here is that we do need to load a bunch of additional functionality from our templating. And maybe that is, I don't know if I have like a template 03 templates example. Because what we have is we have a whole template loading functionality in Glaze that we can reuse under PKG and then helpers templating. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, same as here, is like write a full document. What did we call it before? Topics 23 templating helpers.md, similar to 20. What was the nice one we had? Using commands that describes the templating package and how to use it in details. See templating, look at all the files and then files that use the package. So we're going to see, because we have many uses of that package. Can we actually see if there's like find usages of this? Yeah. So in Geppetto builders, excuse me again, in template go. So we're gonna like clay template go and skeleton, no, Geppetto builders. Etc. So let's see what happens. Because this is something that I also like run into quite a bit. The problem, of course, is like the bigger your framework and your code base gets, the more you have useful files that you can use in different situations, and then it becomes like hard to figure out when to use what file. Interesting. Now it streams it. Oh, it's streaming it as part of without a file name, which is like fun. I wonder if it's going to stream it a second time to then show it once more. It doesn't. So we're just going to create it by hand then, I guess. Create new file, 22 templating, helpers.md. And these templating things, templating create template. I wonder if this uses like the Spring stuff. Yeah. Templating.go. Yep. All right. So now that we have this document created, right, we're going to go back into template here and then use 23 templating. So this document that we just created, or 22 templating helpers, to load and render the templates. And maybe that documentation is a little bit overkill, but in these days of these huge context windows where every source file is basically going to be bigger than the document itself, I'm kind of fine. I guess I still have this like scarcity mentality that tokens are really scarce, but that's not the case anymore. So could not add layer to Cobra command already exists. This is interesting. Which one was that? Could not add to Cobra command max iterations. I wonder if this is max iterations in YAML files. Yeah, so it shouldn't have this over here because it's already like passed in. And I think that's the whole thing. We can restart. We are now run into Writer. We prepare our agent. We get our settings. We create the template. This time it loads correctly. We execute the template on all the parameters coming from the default map, which is not necessarily what we want, but this is what I wrote down in the to-do list to go over this. Definitely not vibe coding tonight. Like this is proper kind of detailed coding, but you see that as I do this detailed work, I actually offload, or like I store my thinking into these documents so that later I can use them to vibe code, right? It's like in a way, these documents are my cached thinking, not the LLM's cached thinking, or partly the cached thinking, but also just like the hard work that I'm doing right now to store it. Why is this being highlighted? I don't know, man. And then we're going to run it. So the agent standard run method. And so the file collection agent now has the run method, right? And we're going to do run internal, which I guess I should have flagged. So let me restart that. Prepare agent, render the initial prompt. We know that it works. File collection agent is running. And then the run internal is like the actual interesting part, where now we have two messages here. We have the system role. The role is like the one that's like our really long kind of prompt over here. Gosh, this is such a... You are, right, like all of this documentation on how to generate these things. And now we're going to generate to generate our step. And so here, the interesting thing here is I do want to have like streaming output on all of these things. And the publisher of the Geppetto LLM with publisher and topic, this is something that we might want to add to get streaming output. So is this being used anywhere? It's being used in the command simple, which is nice. And I'm going to just steal that setup and move it to, I guess this is in command, right? Yeah, new Geppetto LLM. So I'm going to use also set up the std out publisher setup for command. main.go, look at simple main.go. Again, I wrote this up in a document this morning and I already forgot what it is, where it is located. So this document management, context management is really, as things grow, having it find the right stuff. Probably an MCP with some RAG is going to be a really good solution. Also, maybe just a tool with RAG that allows me to search them is going to be a really good solution. And I had Manus generate one for me last week. So this is something that I need to salvage. It's actually in the vibes repo under KB. So if I go to golems vibes, you can see that I savaged this last week. If I look at Manus here, is that exactly what I want it to be? Yeah, I don't remember, but there's definitely, I generated so many of those that I definitely have them. So this is interesting. Why is events publisher not being passed in? Is that maybe because it's the wrong package? Is that something we can salvage? So why is it not getting the right events publisher? Prepare agent message publisher? No. Router publisher, which is a message publisher. Prepare agent. Right, but so it does need to have the router, right? Interesting. How are we going to make that work? Because I do need to run. So the events for the UI are being passed at runtime. And so I do need to run a router to make that all work. We can see that there's an event router over here. Was this added before? All right. So that means that the LLM Geppetto thingy needs to be passed in through the agent. So that is, again, like kind of a thorny, weird design, because I don't know really what an agent is per se just yet. I do have agent commands, but then the agent command creates the agent, right? Prepare agent, which maybe should be done. When is the prepare agent being called? It's being called inside the run method. All right, so that's maybe not the worst idea, actually, to pass it in here and then make it work like this. And then here we do have the run with the running the router. So actually in run glazed, we don't want to have that. So let me see. I don't want to have when using glazed, the router should not be used. Is that right? Like, I still don't know. I want to have streaming output, but then for the beginning, maybe I just don't want to have it. All right. Well, we'll see what that does. And then run into Glaze processor. Now we don't have the router. Why is this being highlighted? Could not remove field agent command from selector. No, right? could remove from select. I want to disable that. That's too dangerous for me to do. And I think I asked it how to do it. Oh man, I asked it in a previous chat. How do I disable that for the project? All right. I think we need the V2 format. Whoa, that's a lot of thinking. Property exclude is not allowed. Like, Jesus Christ, what is the V2 format? Linter settings. And then I guess Golang C island exclude linter static check role. Linter static check linters exclusion. Is this V2? All right. All reports that contain static check. All right. Hopefully that helps. Ah, it does help. Nice. Because this is a lint that like caused the model to make boo boo. All right. So we removed all of this, which is not important in the run into Glaze, but I hope that they are in the writer run. So if we now run, the agent, does that work? What's going on? Oh, so it did work. Nice. However, what did it do? Did it run into Glaze processor, or did it do run into writer? It does run into writer. It's running all our routing in here. It's adding a handler. With publisher and topic ID, blah, 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 blah. And so I wonder if our step printer func is going to actually be called. File collection agent, run internal. So it's not seemingly not emitting any events to the publisher, which is interesting. And that might be something to debug tomorrow, because my brain is going. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. So the reason what it is that when I am doing the streaming publishing thing, I do need to set my settings to streaming. And the way to do that, I think, is maybe over here and run into Writer. Prepare agent. New step settings from blah, blah, blah. Here what I'm going to do, if that is the case, I am going to get the settings to be streaming true. And now I will get streaming updates onto the console as this gets generated, and then at the end it will like kind of print it again. But runs it internally, then it calls generate and creates the chat step. And then C receives the streaming output here. And I think that's a good point to call it a night, just so that I also let all of these ideas rest on like, what does it mean to have streaming output? What does it mean to save the output? And I actually should have, as this is going to finish, man, this is a lot of output. So there's a couple of things that I want to do, right? It's like test the file collection with 256 output tokens to cause it to split is one. And then the other one I want to do in file collection is once this is all done at the end, what are the files, right? And then the other thing is I am going to go into launch.json and I'm actually going to extract each topic as a separate file, max 3 topics, just to make this a little bit faster. And then we'll also see if that actually causes it to take those into account. And it looked like it was hanging when it finished. So that's also something that I'm going to debug tomorrow because it's just a lot at this point. So if I do run, then I go to run internal, this is actually not where the bug is going to be for the event router. So it's going to wait after getting all these event groups. And I guess those should also all have a cancel, right? We definitely need a cancel in here. Then here we should also have defer cancel. And where do we run? I think this should be all right, because this should also run in a go routine while the router is going, and then we wait for the response, and at the end we cancel, which I don't think this makes like too much sense at this point because it's going to be canceled, but we'll see. All right, so we're going to restart this. I'm going to run the internal stuff. Gonna generate our first message. Hopefully we get only 3 files. And we should get streaming output. We don't. Did I break it again? What is going on right now? Oh, so this time it again didn't like send anything to the router. Interesting. I think this might be a race condition. This might be a race condition. Yes, because we do need to wait for the router to be running before starting all of this. And we also need to close the router. So these are 2 things we need to fix. Fix the following issues. Close router properly. Wait for runner to be running before starting. Fix in main.go and simple, and fix in LLM agent. No, where was the file collection? Where was our current router stuff? Oh, and then command, right? Fix in command.go. This is also something that deserves a proper document. I think I'm pretty sure I have that actually. Geppetto docs. Yeah, all right, cool. Update on how to properly run the router and the user of the router events. So here I'm updating one of the documents that I should have used also to just like create this. No, this is wrong. This is all wrong. I forgot to give it like a fix in main, fixing command. Look at Pinocchio command.go on how to do it properly. So I'm going to revert all of it. Oh. This is wrong. So those are the things that if you don't know them, right, like those can cost you your life. This is where concurrency issues, I mean, not that I never make them, but That's where I often struggle. So it looks like in main.go, I don't have that issue. And then in command.go, it does the right thing. So simple main is like actually a little bit weird. And I'm pretty sure I fixed that bug this morning. Not that it's all that important because it's, oh, so we do have the router running in here. Okay, so it's just a display of cursor that's broken. All right, and so now what I can do is update 04 events to describe how to properly run the router in Go routines and avoid race conditions. Needs cancel, close, and wait for running. So this was actually pretty good, right? It just like adds those two things. I should have used that document to do it. All right, but I updated the document, and so hopefully we can now have a working streaming thing as we go. But it doesn't seem to be that way. Like, why is it blocking? Is it because it doesn't set the streaming flag again? Failed to get message value, no response. Maybe this is a sign to stop. Maybe this is a sign to stop. Also, this small window of seeing into what I'm doing is driving me mad. Because we're hitting the go here. We're running the router over here. Oh, and we're probably... What is going on here? This was probably, it was starting the router and then calling add handler, which is not the right order to do things. Might be the issue here. This is all like a little bit subtle, and I have a better API, but I created it so recently that I actually don't know how it works. And I do have a document for it, but forgot to use it. Like it's all, this is all like the complicated part maybe, is I do want my agents to be able to stream over an event bus. That could be Kafka, that could be anything, right? And it's, so now we have to run internal. We're calling the generate, and hopefully it's going to call our event handler. Really, yeah, okay, so that works. And if we look at the terminal, in the debug console, now we get all of these going. And maybe I should use 4.0 mini because this is slow as fuck. And now we get the response. The files we got out of the extractor are new complete files, is a map of strings with these 3 files, right? So we get the right stuff. Files completed an iteration. And if the string contains all of this, then we know we're finished. And we exit the loop. We do some more tracing. And then we turn the summary. And so the summary is like generate the 3 files with the full files. And then also here, we never I guess we never run internal. Oh, so this is the files here. And here we want to store the files, right? And that's something that I'll do tomorrow. All right, so we do have our running agent with streaming output, which is pretty nice. And then we can remove all of these info flags as well. So I'm going to add that to ideas too, as like remove the info logging, add flag to store files on disk. So that means agents should be able to add their own parameter layers to the Cobra command. And we'll tackle that tomorrow. All right, so this was pretty tedious. This is like framework work, right? It's like I don't think this is like maybe the most streamable kind of work, but also why not? Add streaming output to file extraction command. And the streaming thing currently is like really just for partial completion. So as we're moving into to agents, leverage all the work that I did last week on the right here agent with all its different like agent event types, and start adding that into this framework so that individual agents can send customized events with metadata that we can then use to more richly visualize what's going on. So we'll see. This was tedious work, but also this is stuff that really is going to help as I go forward. And I have a lot of agents to build for work now, so it was a good moment in time to do all of this. All right, well, that's it for tonight, and see you soon.